Hello and welcome back to the Heal with Gold show. Wow, today is weird for me because I am here speaking to you alone without a guest. So it's really weird because I'm just staring at my face instead of talking to somebody else and talking to the interviewee. So I'm going to need your help, guys. I'm going to need you to say hi to me, to tell me who you are, because if you did not approve StreamYard, I sometimes don't see your names. I only see Facebook user. So do me a favor. Okay, so salute. I know you're here because you were saying aloha, but it says Facebook user. I just know your signature hello. So everybody else, as you come in, please say hello. Give me your name. I am so grateful to you for joining because, hi Michelle. Because if you're not here, then I'm just talking alone to myself, and then that's 10 times harder than not having somebody to interview. So first of all, I want to share with you that today there is a few things that are a little bit different. First of all, I have some slides, some things just to keep me following the order of things that I want to share with you. I also want to start by saying that this week was a difficult week for me because I lost a friend. She was around my age. She was somebody that I knew for many, many, many years. I'm actually going to bring in the slides because in this first slide, you have the last picture that Miriam Amsalem posted on her Facebook page. And she told the story of how she with infertility, Miriam throughout her life, but definitely infertility was one of them. And she shared an amazing story of how she was at the gym. This was about 30 somewhat years ago, and she was on the treadmill running. That's what she used to do. She was not into yoga back then. And she was approached by a yoga teacher who said to her, come to my class, my yoga class, because if I don't have enough students, and if I don't have enough students, they're going to cut my class. And she's like, well, I'm not into yoga. I'm more of a runner. The guy left. She felt really bad, and she ended up going to his yoga class. And that was an introduction to yoga. He started a class with a meditation. She ended up becoming a yoga instructor, a meditation teacher, a wellness coach. And I thought it was such an incredible example of how she was teaching in her last public message that we need to take the opportunities that we're given in life, that we don't know what's next. We don't know what's behind the curtains. And that sometimes we just need to try, we need to go, we need to make an effort. Miriam, we knew of each other, but we never had met in person. But when I moved to Hollywood, this was after, obviously, a lot of you know, my husband was very sick. I had to sell my house. I moved, and you move to a new community when you don't have little children. You don't know where you're going to start meeting people and how you're going to be making friends. And she was that person that I called to connect me with people, and who do I go for this and who do I go for that. But one thing that was really important and that I wanted to share with you, it was in a way a regret that I had. It was that when I started not feeling well physically, and many of you know that I was really feeling weak, so much so that I stopped this show, and I promised to talk about this a little bit today, and I think it's very apropos. I was not well. I was going to do a retreat. I was meeting with Miriam and discussing with her to maybe hire her to be in charge of the yoga for my retreat. And I told her, I'm not well. I don't feel well. I really don't feel well. And Miriam said, you need to take care of yourself. The things that you do, the things that you love to do, that you're passionate about, you need to do them when you're feeling good so you could really totally give of yourself. She connected me with a wonderful chiropractor whom I think we're becoming friends. I love her very much. She connected me with a functional medicine doctor whom is pretty much, I think he saved my life. I have no doubt. I wasn't able to walk one block. I was not able to lift, I could hardly breathe. I had a cardiovascular inflammation, hyperthyroidism, all kinds of issues that were really causing me to feel extremely sick. And Miriam was the one that very kind and lovingly told me, you need to take care of your body. You need to go into this wellness period of your life, and you need to nurture yourself and nurse you back to health. And I decided to take responsibility. There is a huge financial cost. There is a cost of time, effort. It's not fun, but I decided to do it because I knew that the alternative was really not good. So I thought it was a very good entryway to start talking about what I want to do. And what I want to do with the next 10 sessions of my show is our show is to go over the 10 golden nuggets from my book. And, I wrote the book, and the reason I wrote this book was really just to give over what I had learned through my experiences in my life, through my research, and through implementation. What I had done, what worked, I wanted to gift it. So stay until the end, because I'm going to have a surprise for you. You're going to want to listen to it. If you need to go, then come back towards the end, because I have a great surprise, a gift for you guys. So what I decided to do is look for people whom I admire, whom I learn from, mentors, people that I read from them material that touch those subjects. And today I'm going to be speaking about taking responsibility. What does it mean? It's a tough subject. It's probably maybe the least sexy of all, but it's the beginning of the work, and it's imperative. And it's the foundation before anything else can build on it. We already have for next week Elisa Bulow. Elisa Bulow is for sure a mentor of mine. I met her many years ago. I once paid for her to come to my house from Colorado to Boca at the time, and she stayed by me for an entire weekend, and she gave 8 lectures in one weekend, and I went to all of them, and I can hear her speak again and again and again, because her wisdom is beyond, I don't know anybody that can articulate her thoughts with so much love and grace and love and kindness as Elisa can. She's spoken in the show before, so if you're interested in hearing a little bit of how she speaks, you can go to the YouTube channel and look for Elisa Bulow. And at that time, she talked about mental illness and stigma, but we're going to talk about the toughest subject, the hardest. One that I don't think that I'm equipped to give over. I needed somebody a lot wiser and smarter than me. And I chose Elisa for this subject, and the subject of forgiveness. And in my book, for whoever read, you know that I write that I don't even like the word forgiveness. And you will find out a little bit more about it after Elisa. Oh my God, it's a treat. Fally Klein, anybody who has heard her, if you go to my YouTube channel, now YouTube channel is only part of the viewers because many of you listen to the show in the Heal with Gold group. But if you go to YouTube, you'll see that Fally's show had almost 1,000 views only on YouTube. And there is a reason for that. She's an incredible speaker. She's this tiny little petite human being with a voice and a power and an emotion and strength that I've never seen in my life. Oh my God. Every second that I have with her, I find myself lucky to have that time with her. And we're going to talk about time and how time is important in healing, what it means, patience, that quiet time, time for introspection. That's going to be in that section. After that, we're going to talk with Adam Hall. He's a PhD, he's an author, a speaker, and we're going to talk about living with intention. He completely changed his life. He was extremely successful, making millions and millions of dollars and living a terrible life, being a terrible person. And he changed completely. And from there, we're going to go. Then the order is not in the right order. We didn't finalize dates, but there's going to be belief in a higher power, gratitude, we're better together, vantage points, self-kindness, and acts of kindness. And the reason to have all of this 10 pieces of the pie is because I spent 2-3 years interviewing women who have gone to terrible adversities, like really terrible. And the connection between them are those 10 things. They all took responsibility, forgave, and it's a loaded word. They took the time, they lived with intention. All of the things that we're talking here and all of those steps are things that they spent a tremendous amount of time and effort in them in order to achieve the healing that they achieved and become the incredible people that they are. And everybody's incredible, but the doers, passing on, giving, and living fulfilling and happy and joyful lives. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're after? So I wanted to create something that it's not just individual speeches or individual interviews, but I wanted to give a little bit more about the process, pretty much going more in depth on what I share in the book Heal with Gold. People to make money, anybody who writes books knows that unless you are very Les Brown or one of those, that anything that they write, millions of people are buying because you get pennies, dollars. So you need to sell so much. The cost of writing and publishing a book, you don't recover that from the sales, but that's not the point. That's not why we write a book. We write a book is because we have something to say, we have a message, and we want to impact people, and we want to give of ourselves, and the word has so much power. So we're talking today about taking responsibility. And it's interesting because when I started writing the book, I was thinking about the women that I interviewed, and I thought, oh my God, what does it mean taking responsibility? Some women were molested, held at gunpoint, the trauma, illnesses. One was ran over by a car and lost a limb. There were so many stories, like they were really, really tragic. What does it mean to take responsibility if they didn't do anything? And definitely they're not responsible for a crime or a behavior that other people impacted our lives. And when we think about our lives, and we think about adversity, it's not always something so drastic, right? We could be trying to sell a house, or we lost a job, or our spouse is being, annoying. There are times in our lives that we're going through a hard time, but it's not this major horrendous tragedy. So there's different levels of problems, but at the end of the day, we go through life through these things. It's like if you have too long of a quiet time, you know that something is about to happen, something is going to come, a challenge in your life is going to come, and you're going to have to deal with this challenge. So we're not responsible for what the other person does to us, but we are responsible, and we hear that all the time, right? We're responsible for how we react. But what does that mean? Somebody's terrible to you, and you're smiling, and you are faking it to make it. Well, it doesn't work like that. But you are responsible to create and to build the tools to deal with the issues in your life. You are responsible. If you have certain specific weaknesses, you are responsible to learn more about those weaknesses and figure out how to counterbalance them with other strengths that you do have. So it is up to us to say, this is my life. What am I going to be doing? Am I going to just sit here in misery and complain about, hold on a second. Yeah, we're in the right place. And complain about everything that's happening to us. How am I going to get out of it? So 2 questions that you're probably asking. One of them is, if I feel resentful that somebody did something to me, how can I take responsibility for that? And the other one is, if I am figuring out how to take responsibility, how do I go about it? Because a lot of people say, do this, right? Forgive. A lot of people say forgive. And that's why we're going to go into this lecture with Eliza, is teaching what does it mean forgiveness, and how can you reach a level of forgiveness, a feeling of forgiveness, of letting go. You needed to figure out how to do those things. Otherwise, they're just words. You hear all the time. You go on YouTube and there's beautiful movies and empowering and inspiring messages. But at the end of the day, you listen to them, you love them, you copy and paste those quotes, you still don't know how to do it and how to go about it. So I want to explain to you about a misconception. People think that taking responsibility is taking blame, is accepting that they have done something wrong. And that is not the point of taking responsibility. That is not what I mean by taking responsibility. We all have maybe some blame in certain things in life. I don't think that you can blame somebody who was molested. I don't think you can blame somebody who was abused. But we have certain responsibilities in the effort of healing. When you say, this is my life, I am responsible for me, I'm responsible for my joy, you are taking control of your life. And it's a wonderful feeling when you stop, you abandon that view of, I'm a victim and somebody needs to come and fix it for me. Somebody needs to come and resolve it because I've been suffering for so long and it's not fair. And I'm a good person. And why do I have to go through this hardship if I'm overall a good person? I've gone through things and I have had moments in my life that I said, that's not right. It's not right what this hospital did or this doctor did. And they need to come and they need to fix it for me and they need to resolve my problems. But when you do that, you are weak because you're putting all the possibility of healing and moving forward, you're giving it as a gift to the person who is hurting you. So taking responsibility is not taking blame, and it is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. The word empower is into power, in power, meaning you're giving yourself the strength, the ability, the might to do whatever it is that you want to do. And you're taking this control. You feel powerful when you do that. Self-empowerment is making a decision that you are in charge of your destiny. You're saying, I'm empowering myself. So it's beautiful and much easier to empower other people, right? You can say beautiful words and then people hear you speak and they go, wow, this was so empowering. And you don't know if they're going to put these things into practice or not. But when you are self-empowered, you're giving yourself the power. You have control of the actions, what you do with it, and how you go from here. And to self-empower, it really requires you knowing your weaknesses, because you need to know your weaknesses and you need to have trust in your ability of making decisions and the confidence that you will succeed. You will fall a million times. Think about a baby, right? They start learning to walk. They walk and fall. They run, they give one step and fall, but they're confident that they're going to get it. At some point or another, they're going to be able to give 3, 4, 5 steps in a row, and they keep trying and they keep trying and they keep trying. So they know that they're weak. They know that they don't have the strength to walk the entire hallway, but they won't give up and they'll keep going. They're giving themselves the power and the confidence that they're going to stick with it and they're going to succeed. And when you are empowering yourself with this, when you say, I am going to be responsible for my life, I'm going to be responsible for my future, I'm going to be responsible for my joy, it makes you feel really, really strong and powerful. And it's a wonderful feeling. It's the beginning of this birth, of coming out from that victimization, that place that somebody else put you, that you didn't want to be there. Somebody else put you there, and you stay there for so long. And it's like, when you give yourself this power to somebody else, or a condition or something that happened to you, you're just chaining yourself, and you're not able to move forward and make positive changes in your life. So you need to be accountable. And it means that you are responsible for the decisions that you take, the actions that you take. But at the same time, it means that if you do amazing things, you are responsible for those changes. You are responsible for this transformation that you created. So at the same time that you feel like this is such a huge responsibility, well, isn't that what we all want? We're here to find joy. We're here to feel good, to have the days go by and feel whole, and that we're here for a good reason, that we have a mission in our lives and that we're accomplishing it. So we need to be responsible for the decisions that we make. If we want to speak to somebody a certain way, we're responsible for the way we're speaking. We're responsible for who we see, and then don't everything that we do, the responsibility lies on us, because we're accountable and we're the owners of our lives. So it's my life, it's my joy, it's my future, it's my accountability, it's my responsibility. So practical application would mean to lean on others, and actually on wisdom of others. And I talk about that in my book. I talk about that, and we will touch that too, is that you need to search for mentors, books, coaches, therapists, friends, a hairdresser. I don't care. But nobody can do it alone. Something very interesting happened. I went to the Shiva house. The Shiva house is the house of the family of the person who passed away. And they sit for a week, and you come, and it's open for many hours during the day, and you come to give your condolences to the family, and you listen to stories, and you share stories with the family. And I arrived at the house, and I didn't know anybody because I moved to Hollywood recently. I don't know. And a lot of these people I may even know online, but I don't know what they look like. And I'm an introvert. I know you may not see that or believe it, but I am. So when I go into a place like that, I feel, I'm quiet, I'm on the side, and I'm just watching. And I'm always asking, why am I here right now, this moment? Everything happens. You are exactly where you're supposed to be in your life. I really believe that. I believe that in your career, in your success at work, in your home life, in your schooling, and everywhere you go to the supermarket at this hour, there is a reason why you went there at that hour. We don't see those things. We don't understand these things because we see such a small view of our surroundings and of what's going on with our lives. But I always ask myself, why am I here right now? Why did I choose to come here? The burial was Sunday. I went Monday at 1 p.m. Why did I go Monday at 1 p.m.? And there, when I arrive, is a couple, and I don't know if she's here or not. I definitely invited her to come. a couple from Boca that I haven't seen in years. The couple had divorced. I didn't have any contact with them during that whole period of their lives, and they're going through a very, very difficult challenge, very difficult. And I cannot say that we were close. We knew each other. We were acquaintances, but there was a tremendous, strong feeling that we met there, almost that Miriam Amsalam arranged for that, for us to meet at that moment. And we're both crying and sad about the loss, and obviously we're also crying and sad about our lives, of the things that we're sad in within us, right? When you relate to mortality, we start asking ourselves all kinds of questions. If I had died like that, do I feel like I completed my mission here? What would people say about me? Will my family know who to bill? I don't know. There's a million questions that comes to your head when something so tragic like that happens. So we're emotional, and we started talking about children, about parenting and how difficult parenting is. And she started crying. Her husband started crying that they were going through a very hard time. And I said to her, you cannot do this alone. And, I'm going to be here to support you in any way that I can. And she said, Miriam put you here to help me. And we felt very strongly that the reason I had to be there at the exact same time that she was that so we would meet and we would be able to support one another in our personal journeys. We needed to lean in the wisdom of others. That's what I was getting to. I went through a lot of issues with my children, and everybody does, every parent does. And sometimes is the knowledge that I acquire through my breakages, through my brokenness, through my adversities, is the one that I can gift it to somebody else who is starting on their own roller coaster. Another practical application for accountability is admitting when we're wrong. And we're so protective of ourselves. We don't want to be wrong. We want to be right. I always tell my coaching client, I always tell her, we have a choice. And you can't get both. You can get one. You can be right or you could be happy. What do you want? You want to be right or you want to be happy? If you can only have one or the other, which one do you choose? Do you want to be right and miserable? Or do you want to be happy and not be so strict about defending your decisions, your words, things that you did? And if we always focus on the fact that we can learn from other people, that we don't know everything, then we can sometimes admit that we're wrong, or admit that, I'm a work in progress. I wasn't sure really how to do this. I would have done things differently. Today, after knowing and learning and seeing the effects of what I did, and I can say that, wow, I was a completely different person 10 years ago. Wow. And it was my experiences that brought me to the knowledge and the changes that I have done today. Listening more, hearing more what the other ones have to say in the situation. Take what's good, leave what's bad, be a little bit more, not take everything to heart and not everything too strict. Because when you do that, you are able to control yourself better and steer your life into the right direction. And we owe it to ourselves to do whatever we can to achieve joy. I mean, that's what we are here for. We are here to be more joyful. Right now, I want to give also an example from something that I have learned from one of my mentors. I don't know if you guys know Jesse Itzler. He actually did give an endorsement in my book. I met Jesse through a challenge online. It was a course that was given, and during the pandemic, and I was like, blown away because he was tough. He spoke tough. He was direct. There is no roses and perfume. It was, this is how it is. Listen to me. If you want to make change, this is how you make change. And I loved the directness that he brought to the table and to my life, and the changes that I've implemented since I met him. And one of the things that Jesse says and talks, he talks a lot about this, is how much time do we have? And he talks about children. He's very devoted to his kids, and he's a billionaire, but he really raises them. It's very refreshing because with all that he has, he doesn't raise his kids like millionaires and entitled kids, and he puts a lot of effort into that. So Jesse says, how many summers do you have with your kids? 20 summers? I mean, when he said that, I was blown away because suddenly it wasn't like, oh, this 80 years, Suddenly it was 20 summers. That's all I have with my kids is 20 summers, because during the year, the kids are in school, they're doing homework, you're busy with work a little bit more in the summer. If the family's together, you try to take a vacation or two together. And he talks about maximizing that time. And lately I heard him on Instagram, and you can go and follow Jesse Itler, and he mentions about, well, let's go deeper. How much time do you have per summer? 8 weekends. He goes, I'm like, oh my God, it went from 20 summers to just 8 little weekends. And he asks you, what are you going to do with those 8 weekends this summer? And he calls it summer hard. A friend of his started this term, summer hard. And the truth is that we need to live hard. We need to we can't just say tomorrow I'll change, tomorrow I'll do something about it, tomorrow I will be accountable for my future. And it's now, because how much more time do we have? How many more summers do we have? How many more weekends we have that we're in health and young and things, and we need to be responsible for our lives. Life is hard. We're here and we experience from childhood, right? Like I said, the example of falling, and then everything that you have to go through school. Some people get bullied in school. You have to learn. The tests are hard. Then you become an adult, and then you need to pay taxes, and life is extremely hard. You start driving, and now you have to fill up your gas tank, and that's extremely hard. Life is hard. This is just the small things about life. Could you imagine when people are dealing with major catastrophes? I have a friend who this year was diagnosed with ALS. She's maybe a little older than me by a couple of years. I can't even believe it. She used to come to my house shopping, and now she's dealing with ALS. That's major, right? And there are so many examples. But we're here. There is a reason that we're here. And if we understand the reason why we came into this world, that it's a temporary life, it's a temporary period in which we are gathering. I always say to my kids, I'm here collecting points. When I do something good, like for example, I remember so well. I remember so well because I gave myself so many points that day that I didn't forget. After my husband had his first stroke, I went to one of the doctor's offices to pick up something, and they made me go home and come back, and they were so disorganized, and I was so angry because they were so wrong. And I came in there, and I was nice and cordial, and I smiled, and believe me, I hadn't slept in days. I was running on no sleep, and I was so, as it is, I'm a person who's impatient. So I came home, and I tell my children, today I got a lot of points because I did not punch that woman in the face. And I was so proud of myself. And I tell my kids all the time, we're here collecting points. What does it mean we're here collecting points? We're here for a purpose, to grow and evolve, to become kinder, more empathetic, more loving, more like God. I'm a spiritual person. If you don't believe in God, please forgive me, but I can only speak in the way that I believe that this world is run. And I think that we're come here to emulate the Creator and to become better, to improve ourselves. So we're here to do good. And then we're also here to improve traits that are not the best traits in us and to perfect them, become better in those areas of weaknesses, and to grow in general and to spread kindness and love in this world. This is my understanding of why we're here. So if that is why we're here, right? We're not going to collect points if we're sitting at the beach all day and life is amazing and we're sitting on $1 billion in the bank account and we have no issues. If that's our life, how are we getting points? I mean, we need to give. We need to be exposed to people. You need to give of yourself. You need to go out there and give the gifts that you were given and share them with the world. And sometimes those gifts that you have to share with the world are exactly what you learned from your breakages, from your brokenness, from your adversities, from the pain that you experienced. When you go to the gym and you want to make your muscles stronger, you tear them, right? And it hurts. You're doing lifting weights, you are tearing muscle, and then the muscle is growing. That's how it is in our lives. When we go through adversity, is our emotional muscle is being torn, but they mend. And that's why the whole kintsugi visual helped me, because it helped me understand the healing process, the scars, how the scars is so critical, right? The muscle growth is the scarring, the scar tissue that makes that muscle grow. And you need that. That's what we're looking for. So with kintsugi, that gold, you needed that breakage in order to be able to have an opportunity to do the work, to mend it properly, and then beautify it with gold. So you needed the hard to be able to evolve and become the person that you're supposed to be. So if you believe in this theory, if you agree with me that we're here for the sole purpose to become better people, to become kinder, to become more like the Creator, and that anything that happens to us is for the purpose of our growth and embellishment, then when things happen, we have a choice to stop for a second and say, how can I use this opportunity to gain points? How can I use this opportunity to grow and become a better person, more beautiful? Look at the kintsugi drawing. It's about becoming, or the gold here. I see I'm wearing everything, my kintsugi, because those things remind me why I'm here. They remind me what my job is. They put me in my place. If I want to complain about an adversity, I say, well, I can look at it like that, or I can look at it as a challenge for me to become even better, even wiser, even more beautiful, even more special, even more inspiring to somebody. Why am I doing here? I would much rather, in many ways, to kick my shoes off and put my feet up and watch some Netflix. But I'm here because if I went through what I went through, I want to gift the knowledge that I gained through this process to you, because that makes me feel like there is purpose in the adversity that I went through. And tomorrow I'm going to be the student and go somewhere and listen from people who have gone things that I didn't and have experiences that I don't have, in order for me to grow and become an even more improved version of myself. we're responsible for the way we react. Okay, so we're responsible for the decisions that we make, for the way we react to things that happen to us, but we also are responsible for the wins. And I find it so interesting how I see people that do amazing things, like really amazing things, and they forget to stop and take the time and celebrate those wins and celebrate those achievements. I listened to, I think it was a TEDx talk from a psychotherapist, a PhD, and she talked about that the brain is wired to focus on the bad and not on the good. And she talked about this whole research that she did based on her reaction to something that happened to her. She always wrote, she writes still, and she sent it to get published in those medical journals. And every time that it got accepted and got published, she said, oh, great, next, onwards, which one is the next topic that I'm going to write about? And there was no celebration. And when she wouldn't get, if she would write something and it didn't get published, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Why didn't it get published? Did they not understand? Was I not clear? They don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. And she would be going over and over and over in her head about the bad thing. But she never gave the same amount of time for the times that it did get published. And how many times we do that in our lives? We're responsible for the good. We're responsible for the changes that we implement. We're responsible for navigating uncharted waters. My daughter now, my youngest, is very much into horses, and she's at a barn now in the summer, the entire summer, 5 days a week from 6:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She rides in the morning, and then she is a counselor with other kids. They're riding in the afternoon. And during the school year, she goes after school and she helps in the barn. She rides and she helps in the barn from 3 to 6. So she's a lot with horses. So in my brain, I'm a lot with horses. And when I'm on Instagram, I get all the reels on horses. And so the concept of, horse, when I see her riding, she's steering the horse. You would never go on a horse and give the reins to somebody else unless you're a child and it's the first time that you're on a horse. But if you are an experienced rider, or even not an experienced rider, you're learning to ride, you want to have control over the horse and you want to steer whatever way you want to go to. So you are responsible to steer your life in the direction that you want to. And you are responsible for the wins. They could be tiny little wins, but every win is a win. And you're responsible, you're accountable for the wins as you are with the misses. And you have the opportunity to fix because you can always fix. And that's what's amazing about life is as long as you are here, as long as you have this gift of being here, you have an opportunity to fix something. I was thinking about it. Miriam doesn't have an opportunity to do another good thing or to do another yoga class or to do another wellness video. And wow, but we're here and we have that. So we need to grab those opportunities that we have and use them to the fullest. The work never ends, okay? And it's a decision. You have to wake up in the morning and you have to decide. Yeah, go back to that question that I mentioned earlier. You want to be right or you want to be joyful? So you wake up in the morning. Do I want to be joyful today? What am I willing to do to be happy, to be calm, to be at peace? What am I willing to do? What am I willing to give up on in order to achieve this? And then the whole day you're going and you're asking those questions. What am I choosing? How am I starting my morning? Am I doing a special morning routine? I'm taking my coffee, sitting outside, watching the birds, saying a prayer, meditating, exercising my body. What am I choosing to do? How do I start my day? What do I do during the day? I have this rule that if I feel like I didn't do any kindness in a day, I go on Instagram and I like every small business account that I follow, because it's nothing. It takes me 10 minutes. And for the small business that gets these likes, for them, this is meaningful. We have so many opportunities to do good easily today more than ever. When we used to live in a tiny little places just between our families, we didn't have the time, the opportunity to do this, immense, tremendous amount of kindness that we can do worldwide. I was actually doing a campaign, and I actually will mention that at the very end. I stopped the campaign, but I was fundraising for a woman that I never met in Australia. And I stopped the campaign. I'll tell you why in a minute. But I did send her what I had committed to. And she says, no, no, no. And I said, no, go do a manicure, pedicure before you go into hospice. And I was doing this for myself, right? I was gathering my points. It was, I want to do good. And you have the opportunity in life to do those little things that make you a better person. So what you eat, the music that you listen to, the shows that you watch. I always tell my kids, the eyes are the opening to the soul. Don't watch those terrifying murders and diabolic and horrendous, horrific things. I'm shocked of what's available. It's coming into your soul. It's becoming part of who you are. We're energy. So when you're in that frequency of bad things, of sad things, it penetrates who you are, brings you more of that. If you're joyful, you're going to listen to joyful music, and you're going to read joyful, material. And sometimes you need to start those things, and you need to force yourself. What kind of person do I want to be? Who are my friends? What tables I want to sit at a party? Who are the people? Do I want to be around people who gossip all day long? Or do I prefer to be around people who are looking for ways to do good, to help others, and to be kind? All of those decisions, that's part of taking responsibility. Every decision that you make that will steer you to a situation where you are calmer and more joyful, that's taking responsibility. Was it last week or 10 days ago? I put a post on Instagram, and I gave an example, and somebody was very upset with me, and she's a shopper. She buys from me, and she said, what you said, it was triggering, it was wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, I triggered somebody. Let me go and delete my video. And then we had this entire conversation all day long, and it was very interesting because this is what I said. I said like that I had an aha moment because I was eating, and I was eating not well. And it dawned on me that I very successfully gained weight because I consistently ate crap. And you don't gain weight if you don't consistently eat poorly. And that it's such an aha because it's reminding us that we need to be consistent. If whatever you do, you're consistent in bad, you get the results are bad. But if you're consistently doing something good, then you get that good. So consistency is amazing. It's the secret of success is consistency. And I actually thought it was very funny. And she was triggered. And she was triggered because not everybody who gains weight is because they eat. And obviously, in every situation, there are exceptions. In my case, I take full responsibility for my eating. And you see, this is what is beautiful, is because when I'm taking responsibility for gaining weight, because I chose to eat what I ate and I chose to not exercise, I'm also telling myself that if I change, I can lose weight and feel better, and not for vanity, not to be a size 2 or 4 or 6, but if I'm trying to achieve a cholesterol level that's healthier for me, or to be able to be more physically active, so I need to lose 10 pounds, I can do it from the same aha, from consistent behavior, I will achieve it, right? So I'm seeing this as, wow, I'm taking responsibility, but I'm also seeing the key to uh, opening this door of wellness that I'm trying to enter. And then it dawned on me that I didn't have to be worried and concerned about being triggering, because people need to take responsibility for what's triggering them and not go to places that triggers them. And that is the empowerment of somebody who takes responsibility for their joy. If they're leaving it open for others to steer them, that's the example with the horse, with the reins. If they're giving the reins to somebody else, then shame on them. Shame on them, right? Don't do that. Take the reins back. And if listening to something like that is triggering, don't go on Instagram, because you will get a lot of that. Taking responsibility is the freedom for you to direct your life in the way that you want it to go. We're here to collect tools. Think about it this way. We're born and we're given a beautiful basket, and we're told this basket is empty, and you're going to go through your life and you're going to be collecting tools, and those tools are going to help you navigate this crazy world you're in. Everything that you learn, you'll say, I learned this. Here, this tool goes into my tool bucket, and whenever I need it, I will have it to use, and it's going to be mine forever. And we are here searching for those tools. And everything that you put in your brain, everything that you read, everything that you listen, and the events that you go to, you should look at them not just as inspiration. I don't want you to come here and just be inspired. I want you to be empowered. I want you to say, this I learned, this I can put into practice, this exact thing. And some people are not going to love what I say. If you are still in denial and you don't want to take any responsibility for your life, and you want somebody, I checked with them, they're not coming. You're on your own. I checked. Trust me, I'm going to save you a ton of time. Nobody's coming. But if you want to give it to them and let them come and help you, it is a choice. It's the choice of being, you want to try to fight to be right, or you want to try to be joyful. It's a choice. But we're here collecting those tools so we could use these tools for the future and create a joyful, meaningful life. Joy is a choice, okay? I write that everywhere. You go to my WhatsApp message, it says joy is a choice. If you go to my Facebook page, it says joy is a choice. And the reason I write that is to remind myself. So when I go to my page, if I go to, I look at my status, I put myself reminders, because it is a choice. And it doesn't mean that if you choose joy, that it's easy and it happens. It just means that you're giving yourself the permission to go after it. Just like you give yourself permission to be successful in business, or you give yourself permission to buy whatever you want to buy, you need to give yourself permission to go after joy. And it doesn't ever end. It doesn't ever end. I want to touch on something important, because some people suffer from mental illness, PTSD. Some people have ADHD, learning issues, OCD, bipolar. Those are just some examples. And they cannot control those horrible feelings of depression. How do these people take responsibility? They can't change. If an arm is broken, the arm is broken, and they can't will it to be whole. they need to go and they need to put they need to go to the doctor, they need to do extras, they need to take steps, they need to close the arm, put it in a sling and do whatever they need and give it time and heal it. And then they need to do physical therapy. And it's a whole process. The same thing with the brain. If you have any of those issues, you are not responsible to have those issues. What you are responsible for is to making your best effort to surrounding yourself with things that will promote your joy, that you will go and seek the therapy that you need. To sit at home and not seek therapy because you are embarrassed to tell a family member that you are depressed, that is not taking responsibility for your joy. There is no embarrassment. There is no such thing. If you need help, you go and you look for help. And that action of looking for help, of going into a hospital, taking the medications and the drugs, or doing other types of therapy, those actions, that is taking responsibility for yourself, for your joy, for your healing. And that's what I mean. And everyone faces something in different ways, and they react to them in different ways. I give here an example of impulsivity, and I can say that I was very impulsive. I got married, I was 20 years old, very strong personality. I'm a go-getter. I fought for what I wanted. If somebody said something, I immediately had an answer, and not always is good to answer, and not always you understand exactly what the other person said or says. And I had to practice a way to control that impulsivity and not come out and say it. I wasn't responsible for being impulsive. I was responsible for what I did with the fact that I was impulsive. Will I count till 10 and breathe deeply when somebody really annoys me and not respond right away? Sometimes things resolve themselves. I've mentioned this before. I started when people would annoy me, or somebody wrote an email that I thought was ridiculous, or a post on Facebook. Wow, that happened a million times. I write myself an email as if I'm writing to the person that I want to yell. And then I read it the next day. Guys, for the most times, I say to myself, thank God I didn't send this. Thank God I didn't say this. That is horrible. How did I even think of responding like that? You need the time, and you are responsible for gathering the tools to manage the weaknesses that you have. We go to school. It's so clear to us. We go for a BA, we go for a master's. My daughter now is going for her PhD. But for the most important task of our lives, which is life, there's no schooling. We learn by experience. We go through our lives, we bang our heads and we say, okay, it's not this way, it's another way, and you make a U-turn and you go some other way. It's craziness, right? That the most meaningful job that we have, which is to make sure that we're happy and joyful, living a fulfilling life. There is no direction, there is no teaching, there is no guidance in an organized fashion. Teachings there are, right? Books like this, a million, from much better authors than me, much better. But there's nothing structured, something that you say, okay. And a lot of that has to do with that we are so unique. Our individual needs are so different. But the fact that doesn't have something, that there isn't something very structured, it doesn't mean that you don't find what suits you, that's good for you, that's going to help you in your journey. Miriam Amsalem, whom we're doing this show for, she took courses, she learned, she grew so much. Every time that she would learn something, she would go till the end of the world to become the best at that one thing. And then she would become the teacher in that thing, and she would give it out to the world. And I think that is what we're here to do. you know, when I think about it, she personifies that aspect of, we're here, we break, we fix, we learn how to, and then we give it on to somebody else. So, you know, you need to choose what you need to read and what you need to learn and who you want your mentor to be, and never do things alone, and find somebody to guide you and to be your person. So I wrote here my promise to you, because this is the beginning. You know, we're kicking off this 10 sessions, and there's going to be some amazing, amazing speakers, way better than me, whom I'm waiting. I mean, the next 2 weeks, forget it. I am already super excited. They are my mentors, and I can't believe that I'm able to bring them here and learn from them with you. So my promise to you is that I'm committed to guide you in your transformation to achieve a life filled with joy. I will do that at the Heal with Gold group, through my book, to future books, through the course, which I'm going to launch soon, through workshops and coaching. But mostly by being an example as I work on myself, to constantly grow in my wisdom, my patience, and mostly my kindness. And I hope that I will be able to emulate all of that. And I will make mistakes also. And I hope that when I make them, that I will be able to transparently apologize for them and share with you what I learned from those mistakes. And so I can gain those points that I'm after, and so that I can mend my brokenness with gold. And here's the surprise for you. Anybody who wants to read my book, I don't want money to be an issue, okay? It changed today, the prices on Amazon, but it does take a few days for it to go live with the new price. So the Kindle is 99 cents, and the paperback is $10, $9.99. If you want the paperback and you cannot afford the $9.99, I want you to send me an email, and I will make sure that you get a book for free. I don't want you not to have it. And not because it is the best book, but it is the book that I wrote, that I'm gifting you the knowledge and the wisdom and from the experience of those ones that I interview. And I'm already thinking about my next book, but this is my gift to you. Okay, as far as the Heal with Gold course, I'm going to launch it soon. And if you want to join, whoever emails me and tell me I was in your lecture and I want to be part of your course, I'm going to give you a humongous break. Probably is going to be 80% off. Because I just want to, in Miriam's memory, to do a little bit more of what she did and what she represented to people that benefited from her kindness and from her knowledge and from her wisdom. And I want to emulate that. So I spoke a lot. And I put my screen on full screen, so I was not able to read your comments, but I see them here. Thank you, Naomi, Marina, Salud, and all of you who are here. If you don't share your names, then I don't know that you're here. I just see Facebook user, and I'm seeing a lot of Facebook users. But I want to open up, if you have any questions. It's already 9:03. I went a little bit above. I tried to keep it within the hour. But if you have any questions, ask me, and I'll be happy to answer. Oh, actually, I did get 2 questions from Instagram before the show. So one of them was, somebody asked me, hi Ophira. One person asked me, what is my course about? And that was a very good question, because what am I teaching? Also because, let me explain to you, on my Instagram page, I'm talking about fashion mostly. And so then it's confusing. How come I'm selling a course? So the course is a 3-part healing course. There is the kintsugi. We do a kintsugi together. So you break pottery, and I go through the whole process of mending and putting the piece together. But everything is explained with the healing aspect. So every module of the course. So you have the brokenness model. We break kintsugi and we talk about brokenness. We learn about brokenness. And then there is the third component is a meditation that I work together with Lucy Lynch. For those of you who had listened to her, you know she's fantastic. And so there is a specific meditation for the period of brokenness. And then when we finish that, we go to the next one, and it's mending. And it's the process of fixing a kintsugi piece. It is the same process in healing ourselves and how we move forward. So that's what it's a 3-part course with 8 modules. It's intense, it's hard work, but it's transformational. So that's the point of the course. The other question was more about Miriam, but I think that I mentioned here, I think I answered that question in the beginning. So any other questions? This is your time, guys. Yeah, I know you're here because I can see that you're here. But if you don't have any questions, then I am going to let you guys go. So what did you say, Salud? Your meditation today on calm was kintsugi. Yes, kintsugi is, for anybody who is a visual learner, kintsugi is really changes lives, because you are able to understand how the process of the healing functions. It becomes very, very clear. What if you are, okay, let me put these questions here. What if you're so resilient that you don't think you are Omen? Can you explain your question? If you're so resilient that you don't think you are Omen. Explain. Please explain the question. Let's see, it's hard for me to read if I don't have glasses on. I think that resilience is something that you build. You become stronger. What if you are still resilient that you don't think you're broken? I think that, look, I am a very strong person, but different times of life, things happen, and you need to deal with some situations that are hard. Some people do well. Some people feel alone. They feel depressed. They feel sad. They feel like, why did this happen to me? So different people react differently to difficult situations. But if you feel that you are extremely strong and that you always know how to deal with a situation, then maybe you don't need a course like that, because you are naturally strong to deal. I know one thing, that I was always very strong, always very resilient, until one time, 10 years ago, something really, really difficult happened in my life, and it took the ground from under me. And I've never understood sadness until then. And I tell this story, it's actually in the book, but I'll tell you here since you're here. Hi, Gina. So we went through a very difficult separation in the family. Somebody didn't want to be in touch with us, and we were so broken because we thought that nothing would split us. You know, we would always be such a tight family, very, very connected. And I just couldn't understand it. My husband and I were sitting across from each other. You know, he was on the love seat, I was on the sofa. We're sitting there, and we finally understood those ads on TV for medications for depression, where you see those characters, you know, those drawings, those caricatures, and they can't move, and you know, they're walking like that. That's how we were. You know, we were so depressed we could hardly move. And I said to my husband, let's go to the beach. And I'm telling you, to go from the couch to the car it required immense strength because we were so sad. We got to the beach and it was so labor intensive just to walk to the beach and just to be in the sun. It was really hard because we were really, really sad. And I told my husband, let's find shells and talk to the shells and say, you were my disappointment. You're the dreams that are not gonna happen. You are the pain that I feel. And we put it like this on the shell, and we kind of spoke to the shell, and you were this type of pain, and we kind of had this whole conversation and putting on the shells, and then we threw it in the ocean. One by one, we were throwing a lot of shells because we had a lot of feelings, a lot of disappointments, people that we felt that were going to support us and be with us and hold our hands and didn't. And so there was a lot. It was because not one break is one thing. When, for example, if somebody is going through a divorce, you're not just going through the divorce and splitting from the husband, right? You are also saying goodbye to walking down the aisle with your child, enjoy with the spouse on the other side. There is waking up for the kids. You'll never have that help. You're going to be alone because even if you remarry, it's not the same. There are every aspect of loss that we experience in our lives. It's not only one loss, it's a multitude of things that we need to grieve for. And actually that's what we talk through in the brokenness, is because we don't even know how to grieve, because we don't realize that one loss means so many losses. So we were saying goodbye to all of these losses, and then we walked through and we started feeling movement, like we were feeling that we weren't alone. And I said to my husband, maybe we're trying so hard to walk around all of our problems and trying to avoid them. Maybe we need to walk through and just believe that we need to go and experience this, and we have to walk through it and see what happens. And that's when we started feeling that pull forward. Marina is saying that you remember that story of the beach. That story has been very meaningful to a lot of people because they were able to understand that we don't know. We're all in this journey that we don't know what's beyond it. But we need to go. We need to traverse and see and wait and see what happens. But going back to your question about, I felt that I was always very resilient. And when that happened, I saw how unprepared I was for that kind of pain. And that's really when I started researching and reading and finding myself as mentors and talking when I needed with the therapist and choosing my friends wisely. I completely changed my group of friends, and I found the people that were able to support me and love me in the way that I needed at that time of my life. And it was a season, and when that season passed, I became somebody completely new and different. And so I think that even resilient people, you never know. We're all, if you were here the whole time, you heard about the tools. We're always collecting tools so that when we need those tools, we have to use, and we're not feeling, oh my God, and what now? I wish that I had learned about personal growth and personal development and meditation and introspection, all of that before, even though I had that tendency. When the rug was pulled from under me, I did not have enough knowledge. Let's see what Salud is saying here. I'd love to take your course, but now I'm living a nomad lifestyle and might not be able to commit the time needed to participate. It's not, you take your time, and we'll talk about it and we'll see that it works for you. The course is, you do it by yourself. You have the videos. You can even do it in the car, on a bus, on a train. You can, there's worksheets, there's work a lot of introspection to do, but it's you do it in your own time. It is not a class. It's not live. It's not together. So you may benefit from it, but there's absolutely no pressure at all. Always remember in any situation that we encounter, stop and think, there's got to be a lesson here, and stay as positive as you can. There's always a lesson. Not always we get to know what that lesson is. Sometimes years later we get. I can tell you one thing, that if I hadn't gone through what I experienced, I don't know that I would have found out about kintsugi, and I don't know if I would have changed my career to sell kintsugi clothing and having the Heal with God. I don't know if I would have written a book. Before what happened to me, I didn't do this research. I never in my life thought that a foreigner could write a book, or that I would start a course with my mistakes, my English, my accent, and I felt, and also being introverted. Never thought that. So you see how going through the experiences that I went through, I needed to go through them in order to be here today and do what I'm doing. So it is what I wrote in one of the slides, is that your triumph could become, your tragedy can bring you to your triumph. Your how do you say, your brokenness could bring to breakthroughs. And that's exactly what happened to me. If anybody wants a copy of the slides that I used for the show today, just email me or DM me. If you don't have my email, I'm going to put here on the screen one more time. It is miriam.g@mikafashion.com. Okay, or you can DM me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to send it to you if you want to read it over and over again. It's my pleasure. And you're saying thank you, guys. I am so grateful you guys stayed a little longer with me, but I'm gonna let you go, and I'm going to spend some time with the kiddos. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate very much if you will share. Mahalo, salud, mahalo. And if you'll share the video, if you'll share the group, if you'll share the messages that you learned, because then I feel like I reached a bigger audience, and more people can benefit from these words. And God knows, one person, if it can resonate and they can say enough being a victim. I don't want just to be a survivor. I want to be a thriver. I want to be able to come to a point where I'm going to be helping other people. Can you imagine? Just to know that one person made a huge change in their lives, this would be everything for me, and that's the work that I'm doing here. It's a love, it's a passion, and so I really would appreciate if you can take the link from the group or from the YouTube channel, and you connect people so they can listen to this message. For now, my friends, good night. Hi, Mindy. So good to see you here. I love you all. I really cherish your time. I appreciate your time. Thank you for gifting me this time with you. And next week, please don't miss Elisa Bulow, and the week after, Fally Klein. Oh my God. Those are going to be very, very special. I have nothing on them. Nothing. If you think that this was okay, that is going to be amazing. Mazal, anything from the group is not shareable. And the reason is because I want to build a very safe space that people can feel comfortable to open up in the group, and it never gets out of the group. So you can go to my personal page and copy the link. You can invite your girlfriends to the group. That's amazing if you invite them to the group. And the YouTube is youtube.com/mikafashion. I will put in the group the link to the YouTube, and you can copy and share that. But again, the Heal with Gold group, it's not about mass reach. It's about everybody who's in there know that this is a very safe space. Okay? Good night, everybody. I love you all. Thank you for sharing this evening with me. Bye.